Hey, I feel the same way, Chronic.
Hey. Did I do something wrong? I know.
I had somebody the other day ask me about chopping up soul samples, and I feel like lately I've been going deeper into my like soul sample bag, and I'll show you guys how I chop up soul samples too. For anybody that's new here, has never seen me chop up beats, or maybe you guys struggle with chopping up soul samples, you guys not really quite sure how to do it. I wouldn't say I have the best approach because there's a million different ways to cook a beat and to chop up a sample, but I'll show you guys what works for me. Hopefully it helps you out, man. So first thing I'm gonna do is load up the sample. Let's go ahead and chop this shit up real quick. Let me change the polyphony to 1, and then I set a choke group.
Did I do something wrong? I know. Did I do something wrong? I know.
All right, so you see how we have this section right here. I love that vocal part, this part that. Did
I do something wrong?
But he's talking his shit over that part, right?
But
I'm gonna show you guys how to chop around that, so you can still get those vocals and not have him talking in the middle of it. So what I do, how I organize everything, right? So I have my first loop here. It's a 4-bar loop. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. All right. So what I do is I copy that pad over so that it picks up right where I left off.
Talk to you. Baby, you want
2, 3. So what I'm going to do, I like to work at like 85 BPM with soul samples. I feel like that's like the best pocket, but feel free to change the BPM to, you know what I mean? Whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever your normal pocket is, you know, the chopping part all works the same. All right. So what I'm going to do, I like to time stretch all of these. So I'm going to truncate, and then I'm going to time stretch this sample to 85 BPMs.
Did I do something wrong? I know. But every day, when I...
Now we're going to do the same thing to this. So technically you could even, that could be the loop right there, but I'm going to show you how I chop it up even further. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my sample pad. I'm going to slice each one of these up into 16 pads. So I'm going to split it into, since we time stretched it, it should fit into 16 pads right here. Now we go to the keyboard.
Did I do something? Every day.
You can use those vocals, how they're sustained note. You can use those as like a note repeat, and then it kind of sounds like an extended note. All right, so we have that part, right? So this is the vocal part I was talking about. So we have.
Did I do something wrong? I know. But every day, when I...
So you can set up the chop that way. You're basically using like the vocals and the strings and kind of like sustaining the note. Let's do this one. This one is a 4-bar loop, so we're gonna do 16 pads for this one. Now because this has kicks and snares in it, we're gonna kind of set the start point of each chop. Omaha Haha says, hey, can you load in a sample like that and then assign each splice to a pad and then save it as a group? Yeah, so you can do it. You can do each slice of each loop as its own group. But because I'm using the same sample, and I'm going to process each loop the same, I just keep it all in the same group under group A. If I'm going to do something different to each one, I might put it into its own group. I actually used to do it that way, how each chop would be its own different group. And then I would just program, you know, the different loops in there. But just to kind of save space and consolidate, I just kind of use the same group for each chop if I'm going to be processing the sample the exact same way each time. You know what I mean? So now we've set up the start point of each chop so that it's right after each kick and snare, so you don't hear the kicks and the snares. And I don't know if you guys have picked up on it yet, but like a really dope way to chop and just kind of build up like a pocket, or using note repeat. So you find like little chops. You know what I'm saying? So you could use that if you find like a dope note or something. You can use that note to kind of fill in space and then kind of sprinkle in the other strings and shit. That's like a little pro tip, man. I don't know if you guys have ever caught that when like how I do my shit. I know Dilla's done that, Pete Rock's done it, Madlib's done shit like that. You know what I mean? So you kind of have like the note repeat and then you sprinkle in the different chops. You know, to fill it out and shit. Do you EQ these to take out the low ends? It depends. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I might boost the low end if the bass is nice. But I would think you wouldn't want the sample fighting with the beat. So there's ways around it. I'll get to that, Omaha. I'll get to that. I'm going in order how I usually approach samples. So you can set up each chop to start right after the kicks and the snares. So that way you just get a clean sample. You get the melodics and all that shit. All right, Derringer. I mean, technically I could do that here if I wanted to. I could just do let's see, we could just take this, we can go pitch this down. Hey yo, the beat is done. But imagine if that's how I made beats on here, man. Y'all would be bored out of your fucking minds if that's how I made beats for real. If I just fucking slowed down loops. Somebody called Stove God Cooks. Gun would get on that though. I know he would, man, but that's not fun for y'all to watch. Would you guys want me to fucking make loops like that? Like, just that would be the stream? Just fucking make Griselda loops?
I do something wrong, I know, but every day, when I did I do something wrong, I know, but every day, when I
now what I want to do too. So this is I can't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about won't it clash or something. You could set a compressor and sidechain the kick to the sample. It's what Flying Lotus does a lot. Question, Soy, do you warp your sample to the BPM of your track before you make your chops, or do you make your track? I do it the former. So I like to do the sample to the BPM. I like to resample it to whatever BPM the project is, and then I chop it up. But I want to say this, just because I do it that way doesn't mean that my way is like the right way. It's just how I prefer doing it. So whatever your method is, like, do what works for you. This is a good loop too. Let me change this to 90. Let me see. Alright, so if I want to do a bass line, let me EQ this real quick. I want to roll off some of the low end just a little bit. Hopefully this information is helping some of y'all who struggle with chopping up samples, or particularly soul samples. You might struggle with, like, I don't just want to use a regular loop. Like, I want to learn how to chop around and get certain sounds that I like. You know, I'm hoping that this is helping you guys.